evening.
Evening.
Good evening.
Hello there.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello. And who do we have on tonight's show? Other than Ron. Is that Rob? Can't see. Yeah, Rob. Yeah, thanks, Rob. Drip. Shaun and Cam.
Good evening.
It's like the Dad's Doorstep Challenge. Kind of. Well, thanks for joining us, Cam. Appreciate it. We're going to talk about this amazing monster of a tank that you built a few years ago. But before we do, happy Friday. Thanks for coming on. Ron, you well?
Yeah, all good. You, Tom?
Yeah, I am. I'm digging the old hoodie there. Very nice.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Right.
Nice.
Got lost in the post 15 times. And I think
yeah. Well,
how many does Rob have?
Well, mine isn't.
And thanks for making room for us, Rob, after your several glasses of wine and a Chinese takeaway all of 5 minutes ago. Thanks for that.
Thank you. I'm an ultimate professional.
If we asleep in 10 minutes.
Oh, it's an hard life. Drip, you good? You good?
Wagwan, people of the internet. Yeah, very good.
Right, okay. Well, let's jump straight in and say happy Friday to those of 50 people that have joined us so far this evening. And as always, we'll give you a shout out to those who join afterwards. Tony Close UK Reef, looking forward to it. Good evening. How are you? It's Friday. Good evening.
Mm-hmm.
We've got John Boy in the house. Evening, Johnny. Johnny Wright.
Johnny boy.
This is becoming a regular name now. I'm seeing Elisa. Good evening. Yeah. Happy Friday.
From America. Yep. She's brilliant.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Nice. She's one of Ron's knockoffs.
Yeah. Nice avatar there. Very nice. Who else we got in here? Steve is in the house.
Steve.
Good evening, Steve.
Good evening, Annie.
Good evening, Steve.
Good evening, Annie.
Evening, Annie.
Oh, God. Oh, dear. I wonder if he's in the makeup room tonight again with his daughter. Hopefully. We shall see. Oh,
Dame Edna tonight, I've heard.
Oh, dear. Sleeveless
Jason.
Reefer, Jason.
Good evening.
Another one of Ronald's knockoffs.
Yeah. I even named him.
Yeah.
So did he used to have sleeves, but he just got that much road rage that he just pulls them off when he gets angry with people? Is that how it happened?
He pulls the people off.
Oh, he pulls the people off and he just doesn't happen to have sleeves. Right, I got it wrong. Sorry,
and
Jason.
he needs sleeves.
Sorry. Oh, right, okay.
Not with his sleeves.
Right, okay. Okay, fair enough. Emma, good evening to you. How are you doing? Evening. We've got the one and only Haribo. Spiritual Rita.
Good evening.
Good evening. And who else we've got joining us for this one? Techers Reef is in the house as well. Good evening. Matty Boy and Maxine.
Good evening.
Hope you're good. No. Hope you're good, Roxanne. Hope you're good. Leroy's here. Good evening.
Evening, Lee.
Here he is, Mr. Motivator.
This one is over to you, Ron.
Come in, Willstone. Reef your landing gears down over.
It's really nice to see you. How long has it actually been?
Oh, he's not a Heathrow, is he?
He's been dying to do that. Good evening, Willstone Reefer. I hope you are well. Who else we got in here? Oh, Jim's here. Jim's in the house. Afternoon, evening. Who else we got in here? Dan's Reef. Evening, Dan. Hope you're good.
Evening, Dan.
Friday to you, man. We've got Chris. Evening. How are we?
Chris. Good evening, Chris.
One name.
Chris. See, when people do that, it makes it easy to remember who they are. You might even get a birthday card. Well, maybe.
But does that mean he's reefing mad, or is that just Chris saying, I'm reefing mad? Avatar. Nice.
God knows. Who else we got in here? Jupers. Hope you're good.
Evening, Julie.
Here for a while. Hope you're good.
Did you say Julie then?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So Jupas is a female called Julie.
Yeah, from Leeds, near me.
Yeah, she joined a tank tour a couple of weeks ago. It was really nice to see her.
Good evening, my Julie.
Good evening, good evening.
Is that Julie that I know? Do I know Julie?
Oh, hang on.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Is that D&D 1800 or something?
That's a chat up line. If I ever heard one. Julie 1800. Oh yeah, she's a right catch.
Bit young for you, isn't it, Shaun?
Say again.
Bit young for you, isn't it?
No. If it's the same Julie I'm thinking of, I've known her for years.
That's more Rob's era, isn't it?
Hanging out round Stonehenge.
The funny thing is, that's the vintage on Rob's red wine he's drinking tonight. Don't worry about that.
Right. Good evening, Amanda. Good evening, Amanda.
Good evening, Amanda.
Hello, Amanda.
Been looking forward to this all day. Oh, thank you. We hope we don't disappoint.
She must have fuck all else going on.
Focus on the screen, do you reckon?
What a sad life, Amanda, you must have.
We've got Melinda in the house as well. Good evening, Melinda from Australia. Or good morning.
Good morning, Mel.
Good morning, Mel. Yes. John Boy's in the house. Apparently, you got a Twitch watching that Instagram video of you, Ron, on the photocopy the other night.
I've got so many paper cuts. It's terrible.
What Instagram's this in?
Who else we got in here? Let's have a quick flick through. Here he is. Liam. Oh, an onion, of course.
Very good.
What's the onion doing, Tom?
That's a sad onion, isn't it?
That's crying. That's a crying onion.
Some sort of red pump there.
What's happened?
What is he crying?
It is. It's a pump of steam coming out of it.
It's very good.
Is it crying into a bowl of tomato sauce or something?
Yes.
What is that?
Liam, you know those corals I said I'll go and get you next Friday?
Here we go.
He's still going to have it for you.
Yes. Roxanne. Hello, Roxanne with her own little avatar, her own little channel.
Hey, Roxanne.
Hello. Antoine. Good evening. Good. We've got Haley with us. Evening, Reefers. Evening, Haley.
Hello, Haley.
There you go. Ryland.
Oh, here he is, the rapist. Evening, boy.
Reefy Reese. Good evening, Reefy Reese. Hope you're good. Dave Reef's in the house as well. Happy Friday to you, mate. Dirt Devil's Reef, who always calls me a pickled onion. Thanks for coming on. Hope you're good. Hope you're well.
Good evening.
Thanks for that. Never met the guy. Feels like his brother from another mother. Cheers for that. Woody's Reef. Good evening. And a few more. Fish Ventura. Yo. An avatar of some wooden flooring.
Yeah.
Nice
Okay.
Tank,
that would have thanks,
Nice. Yeah. Alan, not heard from you for a bit. I hope the new tank's doing well, mate. Not heard.
Still filling it up, I think.
Yeah. What else we got in here? Surrey Reefer, good evening to you. Hope you're good.
Good evening.
Bristol.
Mikey Colon, looking forward to the stream. Having the Fragment Sky on March again.
That's enough to read, isn't it?
His second name's not colon.
Fuck
off.
Bag Box is another stream, isn't it, altogether?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I'll just remove Mikey. Wrong channel. Sorry. Tommy P, evening to you and Sharon. Hope you're good. Hope you're good.
Tommy.
Who else we got in here? Tony from Digital Corals. Evening.
Tony.
Evening, Tony.
Mike Bodkin. Sup, guys? Sup, Mike?
Mike from California.
Yeah.
Nice.
We've got Brandon. Afternoon from Poon Lagoon.
Hey, Brando. Legend.
I mean, I'd like to, I don't know where it is, but I'd love to visit the Poon Lagoon, I must admit.
He's got our sense of humour, trust me.
I bet that's moist there.
So he is the guy who made all of the songs like Reefing News and
yes.
Yeah, he's basically the fifth Beatle. Of course he is.
Even Dazza.
Even Daz.
Look out. Streams gone downhill.
Ryan, I hope you're good, mate.
Even
Not
Ryan.
spoke to you for a while. Hope you're good. I'm ignoring that, Liam. What's up, 1 a.m.? Stuart Pinnell. Good evening, Stuart. Hope you're good. I don't want another repeat. Thank you. No comment. Zach, how are you? Nice to see you in the chat. Thanks for coming on. Critical Reefers, evening. Got to catch some work stuff. Well, you need to sort those pasties out. Send them up here, mate. That's what you need to do.
Hold on. His name is James.
James.
Boom. Pasty bar.
James, you need to sort the pasties out. We are waiting. We all need a pasty so we can all give you an honest review at the same time.
Correct.
On a Friday stream.
I've got some news about somebody with a pasty, but not for tonight.
Okay. Shaun, sorry to put you... There you go. Sorry to...
it's not my Julie.
Not your Julie.
No, sorry. Wrong person.
We've got Yarrick with us. Evening, Yarrick. You good? Angry Fish. Evening. That's a new one. Angry Fish. Angry Fish.
Oh, you missed a hello, Tom.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, you sod. You sausage.
It's tomorrow morning he's leaving, isn't it? What time
you coming down, Tom?
He's coming down tomorrow.
No, I'm not doing that again. No way. Absolutely no way. That killed me. I can't believe we've got Matt Goss on the stream tonight. Yes. What's we got? Michael Aarons in the house. Good evening, Michael. Hope you're good. Nice to be in the chat. Thank you very much for coming on. Oh, what else we got in here? Gaza is here as well. Gaza.
As a boy.
And we're there.
Wow.
Hey, well done.
Hey.
You missed a comment I thought I was hoping you was going to say. Have you seen Woody's comment on your mate, where your mate lives? Yeah, he reckons it will probably stink in the Poon Lagoon.
Oh, right, okay. Thanks for that. Anyway. So Shaun asked me to... yeah, evening, Milo.
Nice. Evening, James.
Evening, James. So I spoke to Shaun about Cam coming on a while ago, and at the time I didn't anticipate the amount of... Well, the size for one, and the amount of imagery that I was going to get emailed through to me.
It's called passion, Tom. It's called passion. Come on.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not playing a violin because I'll just get ridiculed, but there is a hell of a lot of footage. And I mean, would you ever have... Can you imagine if you hadn't have taken the photos, Cam? You'd be sat here tonight being like, I used to have a tank this big, and it was this big, and nobody'd believe you probably, would they?
No, it's just that bullshit, isn't it? A cornfish this big, isn't it?
Wouldn't be it, would it?
Yeah. So I'm just going to jump straight in. I mean, if anybody in the comments wants to ask any questions, for those of you that may or may not have ever seen this on Ultimate Reef, before. Yeah. And this was on Ultimate Reef as a thread between what years, just to give anybody a bit of history?
We shut the tank down about 11 years ago, and it was up for about 4. It was from the building, maybe a bit longer, 4.5 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Start finish. But we planned it for 2 at least before.
Yeah.
Because it was quite a big project, so we had 2 years of planning.
What made you do it, like start to finish? What was the mindset that made you go, you know what, let's do this?
Well, my mate happened to be like a millionaire. He's an absolute... John was just a legend, an unbelievable character, great bloke. And we were just very good friends, and we loved the hobby. It was, I brought the expertise, and he brought passion and enjoyment. We both did, and it was just, to be honest, it came from just a friendship more than anything. We enjoyed each other's company. It was, you know, the best part of it was me and him, you know, doing it, you know. But we always wanted a big tank, and we started saying, well, we'll have this, we'll have that. And the way it got that large is we talked about having a building built for it. Because I was saying earlier, I read a book by Anthony Calfo about coral farming, I think in Canada. And we started wanting to experiment with natural sunlight, which most people haven't done. I don't even know if anyone had done it in our country, you know, to that extent. And one of his friends said, look, it was at Christmas time, and he had no work for his lads. And he said, look, I'll build you that building. You just pay for the materials and keep like the cost price and keep my boys busy. So we paid much less for the building than we would have. And then that was it. Then we was off. So, yeah. And then we just went for it as big as we possibly could in the space we had, you know.
Yes, you did.
I think that is very much reefers mentality, isn't it? Fuck it.
Yeah.
But you know what? Actually, the glass originally came in 10.5 foot sheets. So they were 21-foot sheets of glass.
We're going to get there. Sorry, we're going to get to it. I'm going to press play now, and you can narrate as we go through this video, because there is so much footage to show you.
Oh, that's the building being put up.
It's small, isn't it?
Yeah, it was brilliant. There were temperature raised shutters there for the glass roof.
Tell him to pause if you want to stop it on a film.
Yeah, they're building the tank. If you
stop there a minute, Tom.
Yeah, if you pause there. Just so you know, one thing we did do, because people don't realise how hot the sun or how bright the sun is, and we knew that because you've only got sort of 3.5 foot of water depth, you're going to burn corals. So, especially in the summer, the power was ridiculous. It was just off the scale mad. So we put UV protection in the actual glass as well, which reduced the power quite substantially.
Any numbers you can throw at us just for people watching?
It's just so long ago. I mean, it was at least 1,000 at the surface. Near the bottom. Yeah, I think it was like sort of 1,000 par at the bottom on a like blazing sunny day. So it just got ridiculous. But also what was bizarre, and the corals did adjust. For 6 to 8 months, we just used sunlight, no lights at all. And then in the winter, we only lit that 12 by 6 foot space with 400 watt halides. That was it. Which you would put over something less than half the size. You know, that you'd put it over an 8x2x2. So the corals had quite low light in the winter, like particularly low light. But they adapted, and what you'd find is in the summer they just exploded. There was spawning events with the clams and all sorts of stuff that sort of occurred during the summer months, and everything just slowed down in the winter. But nothing really died from low par.
So just to rewind a little bit, what was your background with reefing cam before this point?
I've been in hobby since I was 11. My dad bought me my fish tank. I was sort of in my 30s when we done that. And I've just had tanks all my life, constantly. And I worked in the hobby as well, like quite strongly for about 5-6 years.
Can name the shop if you want.
Oh yeah. Okay, well, what was it?
Tropical Paradise.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I forgot. But yeah, I mean, I was a nerd, absolute obsessed. I even learnt Latin names of fish when I was a child, because I was such a nerd. So yeah, was that
the book, Cam?
That is exactly the book.
I remember that book. Actually.
It's a belter.
It is a belter.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Really good.
You know what? What it says in that book about spawning behaviours was it absolutely came alive in that tank. Trust me, with natural sunlight, there is a different. I mean, the difference is in the tropics, you have about 12 hours every day, and you know over here you can have 16-hour days or more. So there was overlight exposure in terms of timings, but the corals did adapt, and the amount of spawning, fish as well. Obviously, there was a lot of size, and we tried to pair or harem as many species as we possibly could to create that effect. And one of the loveliest things, you could come into that tank, and from about 1 p.m, your cleaner acid spawn. And then you would have a sequence of different species spawning every day. Some would spawn erratically, like the regal tang spawned, but not every day. And then some species would spawn every day. You know, we had little possum rats in there. We had 2 different species, and you never saw them for 6 months. And then one day you'd come down as the sun was fading, and you'd just see them spinning together and spawning. But you know, we had Bellis angels spawn, different anthias, all the different anthias spawn.
Do they spawn all year round, or was it only during?
No, they did spawn all year round, but the spawning behaviour became more prominent in the summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we had green chromis, but the species like anthias and green chromis would know all the cues, so they would sit in a ball behind every spawning species, including themselves, and just mop up all of the eggs instantly. So you'd never get any, you know, we couldn't, you know, get any pelagic spawning or whatever from it, or save the eggs. But it was just a nice experience, and people, you don't see that all the time. You don't see regal tang spawn, you don't see convict tang spawning, but it was magical. It was really, really good. And Anthony Calfo sort of in that book inspired that.
A bit like how Drippy got his name.
Self-spawning.
Village, thank you.
So back to the build then. Oops, sorry, let me just slow down again. So this is obviously glass going down.
Yeah. It was something like a 43 mil base, double thick. It was about 43 mil, if I remember rightly, 43 mil altogether. 19 mil glass sides all the way round. 2 side weirs, as you can probably see just there, pouring in.
Now you must have really trusted the geezer who silicon that in.
Oh mate, he was brilliant. It was Seabray, and he was a very experienced old fella. He was fantastic. And also what we wanted a few things that other people didn't have. Everyone had brace bars. It actually came back to bite us in the arse in the end, because we didn't seal the metal rim. It was a big, thick, huge sort of steel rim, and it allowed me to get in and out the tank with ease. So we didn't have brace bars. We didn't want them. Obviously, we used natural sunlight. And that was lovely, because it gave you that first picture we were showing. You could see like the full surface. Everyone loved sort of stepping up and looking across the surface. So yeah, so we did that, which, you know, we were really pleased with. And coming back to what I was saying about the glass and how much, you know what it's like. If you don't get the biggest tank you possibly can, it eats you alive.
Yeah. And
the glass came in 10.5-foot sheets. And if you wanted a 12-foot tank, which is what we wanted, you had to pay double. And we talked about it. Yeah. For the sides, we had to pay double, because they just had to ditch whatever was left of the 21-foot, you know. And we talked about it, and we knew if we didn't go 12, we would have like eaten us up all the time. So we went all the way and went for it, and we couldn't really go any bigger. I mean, we did discuss dropping it to the floor, going back a bit further and doing other things, but the way it ended was I had a family, and John's work got quite busy, and we just lost the time. It was like a full-time job, but it was one of the best times of my life.
What was the dimensions again?
It was 12 foot long, 6 foot front to back, with a 3.5-foot water column. It was just under 4 feet with the rim and the whole tank. But yeah, so 12 by 6 by 4, really.
Brilliant.
No, it was magic. It was one of the most magical times of my life. I've got to say, it was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it was so good. I mean,
was this a drunken discussion?
No, mate. I mean, it was just 2 absolute mad nerds go. Like, you know what it's like when you had that when we talked about it, and you start fantasizing. We all got fantasy tanks and what we want to do, and he had the money. I had the expertise, and we both had the passion, and we both were best mates. So it just worked, and we were like, and when things dropped into place, we were like, it was brilliant. It was great. It was just, it was fulfilling the childhood dream for me and him, and it was brilliant. I couldn't say it could have gone any better, really, even with the problems we had, which we'll probably come to later, and issues. But it was magical, brilliant stuff.
Do you know what order these photos are in?
I know roughly what order. This is just showing. If you pause there, the weirs flowed back down the sides. Like we wanted rear weirs, but on the external. But he said it would put too much pressure on the glass, and with the metal rim, we couldn't do it. So we put them on the sides, dropped them in, and then that was our sort of 8 large filter socks.
And what size plumbing is that?
Oh, that's
2.5 inch, isn't it?
That's 2 inch, I think.
Is it 2 inch?
Yeah, I know it might be more. No, that's 2.5.
Actually, that's a 7-inch filter sock, isn't it? So it must be 2 inch.
Sean knows 2 inches, mate. Come on.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, anyone.
So that's you going into 2 what look like Dolabs. Is that right?
Yeah, they're big, vats. We filled them with live rock. You'll probably see it later. But what else we did? We actually fired the water from them vats, took it out, and went through the wall underneath his pond and across to another building. And then had 2 8-foot tanks, a 5x2 by 2.5.
I have got that in the footage that you sent me.
Yeah, we can talk about that when it comes up. And then we had a 5-foot tank attached with some fish we couldn't keep in the big tank. But yeah, it was good crack. Yeah.
Whose chair was this?
That was mine. John's was the other one. I'll tell you what, right? I don't know if people might have seen Evan Almighty when he walks up and down the tank and fish follow. We used to that bookshelf was actually in the corner most of the time, and we kept our food on it. And if you ever reached your hand up anywhere like that, the entire aquarium just went whoop, and there was like 150 fish all like just standing in front. Oh, come on then. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Oh dear.
Yeah, superb.
You just don't get the depth from that angle, do you?
No, you don't. There is pictures as we go further. You'll see my my ex-wife was in the tank when we start filling it. Early doors, we chucked her in just to show the sort of size.
Because she was an ex-wife. Did you leave her in?
I'm trying to drown her.
I should have kept the tank.
Pause it there, Tom.
There you go.
What's going on in there? What's this?
Right, so that came out of one of the vats into our heater, which I think was 3,000 watt.
That's an inline heater.
Inline heater, yeah, titanium. Yeah. Then that went through. You can just see on the right hand side into the UV sterilizer, and then that actually went all the way back up to the tank. And at the back of the tank, one side, we had 2 of them pumps. I think that was something like 15,000 litres an hour.
They're a bit more. They're a bit more than that, because I actually had 2 of those pumps when I was dabbling in the trade a few years ago, and I had to get rid of them because they cost a fortune to run.
Oh yeah,
what they use in swimming pools nowadays.
Yeah,
I can only imagine then what it costs, but now it's not even worth.
You wouldn't be able to do it.
No,
you wouldn't even be able to do it. We had so much gear; it was a joke. It was an absolute joke. Yeah, the electric was astronomical then. Now it'd be crippling.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had 5 different skimmers, I think, like large skimmers. But there was a lot of equipment going on. There you can see one of the weirs, at the back you can just see we had probably 4 outlets per side. They might have been 20,000 litres an hour, and we just had 4 outlets straight across the surface to create that surface ripple. But one thing we did mistakenly do, we did end up with scum collecting in the center of the tank, so we periodically moved the nozzles just to try and sweep it into the weirs. Yeah, there you go. That's the surface to give you.
That is
And then it's-
absolute. That looks like a swimming pool.
That's
I know,
exactly
no,
the
it's
same
great.
for
I love that picture.
Wait,
Yeah.
that looks like a swimming pool in like a holiday brochure.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
Oh,
bonkers.
I'll tell you what. I mean, when I used to get in it, it was always for, you know, doing things. But it was
yeah,
brilliant.
liar, liar.
Oh no, I did. No, I never used to get in it for no reason. But getting in on a sunny day, with all the fish and that, it was fantastic. It was just amazing. Just dipping in your tank on a sunny day was just out of this world.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I'm just going to jump to a couple of questions, Cam. Ben
Yeah.
took us asking, what was the flow like going through the sump?
So you had two. They might have been 50. It's probably 20,000 litres an hour each. So each weir took about 20. Obviously, after displacement and whatnot, it'd be less, but they were 20,000 litre an hour pumps.
I think Ben Tucker needs to get an avatar. That's terrible.
Yeah, so I think 20,000 litres each side was the turnover through the sump.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean the system was about. I mean, obviously you've got, you know, there's a little bit of difference, but it was about 13,000 altogether. I think the tank was 7 or 8, but them vats were like 4x3, so they easily took that. There wasn't any issues with the weirs either. I mean, we had 3 2-inch pipes running down, so they easily took that.
Sounds like Gaz is having an extension as we speak. He's planning it. Thanks for putting ideas into my head. Yeah, I mean that's just
Wow.
unreal, isn't it? Wow.
It was brilliant. People were like amazed. It was brilliant because even people who weren't reefers, you know, my friends and just people in general would just come round and they would just be like, "Whoa!" It was quite a sight to behold, especially when it was grown out. And when you looked over the surface, later on you'll see it, but when you looked over the tank, it actually looked like you were sort of when you're on a boat, if you were ever on a shallow reef, in Asia or whatever, you know, you look down and it's rippling, but you can see what's underneath, and it looked just like that. It was superb. It was great.
Cam,
Yeah.
Did you inspire any of your mates who weren't reefers, and then they came round to see this, and it inspired them to get into the hobby, or not?
No, but it did inspire them to smoke weed and come round and look at all the fish.
Very good.
They really enjoyed getting high and just standing there and staring. That's about all I inspired them to do.
Wonderful.
There was a question there about humidity. I think Ron just
excellent. Really good question, because that leads me on to something else. Yeah, humidity was incredibly high. I mean, we had in the atrium roof, we had 2 windows that opened. So we could control humidity, but we did have a dehumidifier in the winter, because obviously in the winter it gets cold. You don't want to open the windows too much. However, one of the problems that we faced, this is a long, long time ago, and David Saxby followed our findings and started to monitor CO2 in his sump room not long after, because what we found was we didn't realise the coral started to deteriorate in the winter, and we thought it might be light and this and that. And then we checked the ORP, and it was something like, it was in the ground, it was like 70. And we didn't believe that it was correct, but it was. And what was happening was we had so much coral and so much fish. We used to call it battening down the hatches in the winter. So we close everything up, shut it all down, put the dehumidifier on so we didn't suffer with mold. But by doing that, the CO2 in the room just skyrocketed. The ORP dropped. Obviously, there was issues. And it was later on, I think it was the second winter, we realised what was going on, and that's when we tapped our skimmers outside. So all of the intakes for the skimmers went through the brick. We drilled the brick in both rooms. Then we would sometimes open the doors and we'd open the glass atrium roof, and it solved the problem. So we didn't have a problem with humidity, but stopping the humidity originally did cause coral loss.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were you losing like the effects of that? Were you actually losing like whole colonies, or were they just
No,
STN
like,
from the
like
place?
dull colours, slow growth. I think we lost some caterpillars jumped off their skeleton, which was quite an odd. You know, it can happen, but not a normal occurrence. We didn't lose huge amounts to that, but it did deteriorate some corals. And like, you know, when bright orange plate, we all kept it grows like stink. It would brown and dull and, you know, lose its white tips and its growth in that first year and then into the second winter. But once we tapped the skimmers outside and realised we'd solved that problem, so we moved on. That again went from them vats outside, and we actually had 2 of the Deltec coolers for the summer. That chiller at the bottom we didn't even bother using. The 2 Deltec you know, coolers, or whatever you want to call them, the air coolers, they were more than enough to keep the temperature under control in the summer.
Gil's Aquarium asked whether it was the white pipes. Is that just your returns, or was that a closed loop?
There was no closed loops at all.
There was no wave makers. It was just those.
Oh no, well, there was. We did have sort of closed loops, but we didn't drill the tank. What we actually did was, behind the weirs, we dropped pipe in to the tank and then created like an intake.
Oh yeah.
Underneath the rock work against the 2 weirs, and then pumped it, took them back over down, and then created you know, the flow back into the tank. So there was closed loops, but not, you know, they were up and overs rather than drilled through and into the glass.
Were they? Did you have those swimming pool pumps on there as well?
Yes, so there were swimming pool pumps.
How many of those did you have?
At least 5, maybe 4 or 5. Wow. Yeah. Oh mate, it was mental.
Just bad.
Yeah, oh mate. But back then, electric wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
You know, you think what is it, like 15 years ago? You know, you could leave your lights on and it wasn't that big a deal. Now it's just like burning money. Now you can actually see. So the 2 pipes that are facing up, they were the return. They were the closed loops. So, and the on the right, you can see that created a cave. One of the things that people do in reef tanking, which you know, I find it happens over and over again, is people create rockscapes how they want their reef to look. And you must create a skeleton frame and understand that the idea is to grow your corals into the space, not create huge amounts of rock work that looks really, really pretty to begin with. And then as soon as your corals grow, your space disappears and you lose the shape of the reef and the openness. So we created that frame there to create a cave, and then closed that in rock. I think you'll see later on, it was quite difficult to escape it because I didn't have scuba gear. I used to use a snorkel. So there you go. You can see the frame there. But as what we did, we half filled the tank with salt water, and then
Sorry, Cam. I thought it was Rob's stool for getting in and out of the bath there.
Mate, that stool, yeah. I used to have a ladder on the outside and a stool on the inside because I couldn't just jump in. Yeah, it was too deep. There you go. Right, so there you are. The tank's half full, just over, which allowed me to build half of the rockscape up. At the bottom right, you can see that's where that cage was, and we created a cave, and then we created like an arm that came forward, like an archway, across the front of the cave. Then we had to fill the vats up, salt them, temperature them, pour them in, and then keep doing that until we had a full tank. But yeah, now you can see where we our sort of original.
Pause it there a minute, Tom. How much rock?
Oh mate, that is. Do you know what? I don't know, but it was a lot because we had it in the sumps, we had it in the vats, we had loads. I mean, there was. I have no, off the top of my head, I really don't know. Pause there. Oh, there's there. You go back one, if it's possible.
I don't know if Tom can hear us. Tom, can you hear us?
He's just gone through, unfortunately. We've missed my ex-wife in the tank.
Tom, can you hear us?
Tom, you bald twat.
Tom.
What have you bald twat?
What the fuck is going on? Right, hold on.
Has he got his porn on?
He's not even listening.
I'll drag it back. Wait, tell me when to stop. What, this one?
Keep going, and I want to show you a particular coral. Just keep going back a couple more.
Tom's a twat.
There, that one.
Okay.
Right. That small blue tip acro on the left-hand side, that's how it started. It was probably 4 foot wide, 3 foot front to back, and when people came round, if they wanted any, we'd like snap off a piece you couldn't fit in a salt bucket and you wouldn't even notice. That coral became absolutely enormous. I think it had already been in captivity for about 18 years before we got hold of it. So that coral, and that coral still exists in Martin Lakin's tank, I believe, if he's still got it.
He does.
Yeah, so he's got loads of that. And that coral has been in captivity for at least 30 years, at least.
That's great.
So yeah, maybe 35. Yeah, it was fabulous. Really good coral. I mean, obviously, it's the thing for us, we use natural sunlight, which washes all the colour out of your corals. But John was a decompression diver and did diving in like Madagascar and places like that before coral reefs even started to deteriorate. So he saw some of the most healthy reefs on the planet. And we had such a large aquarium, we didn't need to have high coloured, blues against oranges and what we do usually to create a spectacle. We didn't need to chase colour. John used to hate it. He used to call it multicoloured swap shop, and he hated, high coloured, gaudy tanks. But it was because we had the space. We could grow corals, and you could be amazed by the form, the size. A 2 foot plus sized clam is quite a sight to behold, even if it's not sparkling in blue light. So we were quite privileged in that we didn't need bright corals to create something that was quite shocking really to see. And people joked we had like orange bubble tip anemones, and I remember, I think a guy called Keith, he's not alive now, he was like, they're rather large Aptasia. You know what I mean? Because they were just brown. But so we were quite lucky, in that respect. But we certainly didn't chase colour. So a coral like that, which grew exceptionally fast, was really healthy. It was perfect for our tank. But if you want to go to the next one, it's my ex-wife in the tank, just to give a sort of size aspect.
Yeah.
Do we want to do a check quick? Is Tom still a bald twat?
His battery on his headset's died, so he's
absolutely fuming.
Yes.
Oh, brilliant.
It's okay. Brilliant. I mean, he would normally remove us, wouldn't he? I mean,
go on.
Yeah, get him gone. That's it.
The screen looks better now. Anyway, so this is your ex-partner, Cam.
Correct. Yeah. Ex-wife. Yeah.
Perspective.
Yeah, great photo. That I like it.
Yeah, sorted. Dippy's laughing there. Look. Oh, don't worry, mate. I'm not bothered. It's all good.
So
but yeah,
keep going.
Well, you can already see that coral we saw earlier. Look at the size of it already.
Yeah, it looks great.
It because this was summertime as well. Literally, it grew like a weed. It was insane.
What salt were you using, Cam?
We always, and I always did do, and always have done, use TMC Pro Reef.
Okay, and did you have a storage system for it somewhere, or is that?
Well, yeah. Well, we had a 4x2x2 for RO, which was our RO vat, and that ran permanently. It overspilled into his pond, so the wastewater went to waste, but we just left it running permanently because obviously his pond used to evaporate, so that used to get topped up with like perfect 0 TDS RO water when it overspilled. And what we would do is we had a 5x2x2.5. and it was tapped onto the system, and all you had to do was turn a valve, shut it off, open another valve, drain it, and then we switched the pump on. It took the 4 foot of RO, we filled it up again, topped it up, banged a whole bucket of salt in. I think it was a whole bucket, and then just mixed it, left it running mixed with Eheim pumps, and then just put the valve back on. That was it.
Eheim pumps would also heat it.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so it was we did about 150 gallon water change at a time.
So was it the big universal Eheim pumps, the 3,400 units?
Yeah,
that's
them ones.
I use.
Yeah, I mean they were like, when we had them, some of them were like 10 years old, and they were just going strong. Them things do not break.
I totally agree. It's the only bit of equipment from the very start of this hobby. And they just keep running.
They never die. It's insane.
Yeah.
Insane. They are an amazing piece of engineering. I know they use quite a lot of power compared to some of the pumps today, but literally you can run them for 20 years. They're ridiculous.
Yeah, I've got 3 of them in my mixing bat.
I've got a question for Cam.
It's not video in there.
The way this tank was lit with natural sunlight,
yeah,
I've heard so many people that are well respected in the hobby, like UK, American, whatever, that talk about the LED introduction's been great, but they're also relating that to a lot of nuisance algae, dinos, things like that, right? So the fact that this was naturally sunlit, would you say that you went through any of them phases, or was the tank normally generally quite good with stuff like
that? We knew, look, there was quite a few people when we started went, you're going to have algae problems, you're going to have algae problems. The fact is, if you keep your nutrients in line similar to a coral reef, no one comes along, God don't come along and clear up the reef. It stays clean itself. So if you provide, and we had such a large water volume too, so it's stable. But if you provide a similar kind of low nutrient environment, you shouldn't get huge issues. If your oxygen, your ORP, and your CO2 is not too high. So we did get a bloom, I think, at one point, but nothing ridiculous. There's some pictures where you get a bit of algae on the sand. Yeah. But you'll see later on when the picture comes up, you'll see we had to build our own gravel cleaner because that is a massive area to clean for. Basically, if we didn't clean the sand, because of the number of fish we had, the size and the waste, we would get algal issues. So at least once a month would clean the entire sandbed over a 2-day period.
Yeah, I think as well it's worth noting that because I've done tanks not that big, but same length, not quite as wide. When you're introducing or selecting fish that you want to put in there to do a job, you've got such a massive scope on what you can have.
Massive.
That if you've got a Bryopsis outbreak or ulva or something like that, hair algae, you can literally chuck a shoal of convicts in
we did. Yeah, I mean, we did. We had I don't know what it was, how many. It might have been 30 or 40 tangs. You could, in the summer, in the vats at the back, you'd get caulerpa growth and algae growth. We just pick a whole rock up, absolutely smothered in caulerpa, drop it in the tank, and you'd walk back in 10 minutes and the whole thing had gone. The fish had just annihilated it. We did get a bit of Bryopsis at one point, but that was around the sand issue. So once we started cleaning the sand, most of any algae issues disappeared.
Yeah.
So we had no problems with algae, really, no major issues. You'll see later on, I'll let the background and some pictures probably get covered in algae, and then I started to clean it regularly, which gave it a much better look. Also, these pictures we actually filled in the back of the tank later on. At the moment, you've just got 2 side sort of bommies or whatever you want to call it, slopes. But as we go through, we increase the amount of rock. But yeah, it was fantastic. I'll talk about the fish later because this. Sorry.
Great photos.
Oh, I mean, that turbinaria looked unbelievable. You see, this is the thing with that size tank. That didn't even look that big, you know. But you could grow corals in such beautiful shapes, you know, and the form would be like nature, and it was brilliant. Yeah, very, very good.
What's that? Squamosa clam.
Yeah, that's a squamosa. Yeah, yeah. We had quite a few different clams actually. We did love a clam, and they spawned regularly, especially in the summer. And one of the queues, well, the main queue for clam spawning was me getting in the tank, and other people got in the tank and they didn't spawn. So I don't know what's going on with my skin, or some, I don't know, some pheromone going on. But
It's
literally,
the chakras, your chakras.
it might be the fake tan. But yeah, honestly, and it would cloud the tank. I mean, our filtration was fast enough to cope. It didn't bother anything. But honestly, it was brilliant watching clams all like synchronizing, bang, 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 whoosh, up it would go. They never did it in the winter, but yeah, all summer they would do that. It was fantastic.
Should we just do a quick check? Is Tom still a twat?
I'm sorry, my headset completely died, and there wasn't any charging it at all. Sorry.
That was a 7
This come
foot
out.
unit.
This come out of you, Cam? Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah,
to.
that was a 7 foot Eunice worm. It was disgusting.
That's awesome.
It was, yeah, it wasn't awesome because it ate a lot of stuff, but it was quite repulsive. But yeah, it was very impressive.
The fuck? What's happening here?
That was John's foot, but that had already split. So that's not even the whole animal, because as I pulled it out, a load of the tail broke off. So yeah, it was if you stretched it out, it was about 7 foot long.
Famous words you will never hear a bloke saying. As I pulled it out, a bit of the tail fell off.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about, Cam.
That's it. Yeah. What's this here? Oh, that's you can see some of the sump, the sump area there. We had blimey, we had so. I think there's 2 Grotech skimmers. There was a small Acromatic skimmer there. I think we removed them and we bought a skimmer off of David Saxby's big Deltec, which you might see later on. I think you do, which was enormous and 8 electric, like absolute ridiculous. It had like 6 pumps on it. It was just a monster. We also had the full-sized Acromatic twin in the other building as well. So, and I think we kept that on the other side. So we had like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we had at least 5 skimmers.
Cam was asking, how did you pull the Eunice worm out? Did you use your hands?
It actually came out on a piece of rock, and it was so odd. That's the other room. You can see actually that's where it went across to. The tank on the right is the water change tank, the Acromatic twins there. And then we started filling that with rock and used it for various other things. We had like massive great phosphate remover, etc. But in terms of the Eunice worm, yeah, I pulled a piece of rock out and it just hung from this piece of rock, and I had to slide it over the glass, and this thing just like whoosh. It was grotesque. And then you saw its mouth come out, and eyes like it was nasty. Yeah, real nasty.
See this photo here? This looks like a classroom from 1985.
The tank down the bottom is the RO tank. That's what we did, and we just pumped it up to the.
Is the blue box there on the left full of stickle bricks?
It might well have been. There was all sorts of shit in there. You know what? That had like a million different bits and bobs. The amount of crap we had, it was ridiculous. Honestly,
Playmobil. They were posh.
Ghostbusters posters.
That's it. Yeah.
From like a nutrient control point, then obviously you got the filter socks. Did you have a refugium?
Right. The first tank there, which is not set up yet. the first tank there, they're 8-foot tanks. You can't quite see it, but they're 8-foot tanks. We used that as a refugium, the first tank. So that was just pure algae, and we lit it with 2 400-watt halights. We actually had half the amount of light on our refugium as we did on the main tank.
And more like phosphate. Did you?
We used phosphate removers. We used an enormous phosphate reactor. I think it was a Deltec, huge great Deltec.
And was that a nitrate filter a minute ago? A sulfur bead reactor?
Yeah, it was. We knocked it on the head because it wasn't really that effective. The algae refugium, you can actually see it's a floating refugium. The tank was, so the water would just flow out over the top. So what it was meant for, if you had too much flow, you could let flow go underneath, and then you could put as much flow in through the refugium as you wanted to. And then the tank on the right at the top is the second tank, and we put the phosphate reactor and a couple of other things.
So is this in the house? And
no, this was another building in the garden across underneath his pond.
He bought next door.
Yeah. But he already had this, so it was perfect. This was where we kept a load of fish and corals in these tanks, because we started accumulating stuff before we had the tank built. So we had some corals and fish to start off, you know. We used to go and buy sort of secondhand fish, and you know, people shutting tanks down. But on buying fish, we were one. I think we were the only aquarists that had an account with TMC, so we could just blaze into. We used to go around the shops to begin with, and then we got an account at TMC, and then we never went to a shop again. And we used to go up to TMC, and I remember, I think our record was over $3,000, and that was cost price then. So now that would probably, if it was shop money, you're probably looking at least £10,000 of stock, maybe more in one go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we loved TMC. It was great.
Tom's going there soon. Hey, boy.
Is this coral again? Holy shit!
Yeah, mate, it gets bigger. It gets bigger. That's small still. It was absolutely, that is nothing. I mean, that Regal Tang there, the Regal Tang, one of the Regal Tangs, we used to call him Mad George because he came from a guy called George, and he was bonkers. He used to headbutt the pumps and fly around the tank like an absolute maniac. And he had a harem of 3 females, and he just used to love it. And he used to go into that coral at night and sleep and snap off, like, do you know what I mean? Pieces of like this big. We come down in the morning and be like, oh, and all you had to do is just plonk it back on, and then anastomosis would just fix it back, and it would just regrow where it was. Yeah, it's brilliant. But that's not even close to where it got to. That's not even half.
How big did the staghorn get?
About 4 foot wide and about 2.5 foot. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. 2.5 foot front to back. What was funny is when we first built that bommy, it's a tiny piece of rock. It's really quite small. And someone said, oh, I'd have made a bigger feature of that. And I was like, just wait. And when you had like a 4 foot huge acro on the top and all of the corals round the base had grown out, it wasn't a small feature. It was quite a large part of the tank, you know. Again, you need to build a skeleton, not your finished article. You know, you've got to try and grow your corals into space.
There's John.
But there's John. That is John chilling. He used to. He was on that side. That was usually my chair. But he used to sit there. When I got in the tank, we had a flamingi tang that was like. In the end, it was like 2 foot long, and it was like, you know how cats walk around your feet, or dogs will try and get attention to get fed. John, we used to have pellets that were like this big. I don't know if you can see. They were like that big.
Like Smarties.
Mate, they were bigger than that. They were massive. I think it was a New Era. They had these massive, great sort of thick
tablets.
Yeah, like really chunky. And he used to sit there and just chucking and plopping them in the tank. And if I got into the tank in my wetsuit and started work and he didn't do it, that flamingi tang would continually headbutt my mask. He would continually get in my way, until I had to get up and be like, John, just bloody feed the fish, please. which is brilliant because, you know, as fish get larger, they get more intelligent, like anything. And he was a total pet. It was magic, absolutely magic. One other thing as well that most people won't experience. Oh, there's John there. That's John. Yeah, feeding the fish.
It does look like Lee's long lost twin.
He does.
Oh
He
dear.
actually does.
Oh, it's great.
Not for long. He's going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger before long.
I saw that. He's got himself a exercise bike, and he.
Arnold Pumpernator.
Exactly.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, guys, one thing you probably never experience. When we kept a lot of our fish to begin with, obviously in smaller tanks and whatnot, and they'd been in for quite some time. Oh, the Vlumingi tanks at the bottom there. And when you put them into that tank, it was hilarious. That copper band, especially, that was probably the best example. When we we put 2 cleaner wrasse in as our first fish, and that copper band was the 3rd fish in. And it literally, it went in. It was, you could see it was quite sort of anthropomorphic, because it looked around and was like, holy shit, this is huge. And then dived for the cave, and then it sort of came out the cave, and it was like, what is this about? Like what? Like, and lots of fish reacted with this sort of, you know, if they were kept in captivity, you know, it might come from a 5x2x2 or smaller. They literally went in and they were like, whoa, like, wow, freedom. And fish were completely different in behavior. Because you had such space, fish are not scared. As soon as you narrow a tank, especially front to back, everything becomes quite difficult to escape from. You're only inches away from what could be a predator or whatever coming to the glass. Well, they had so many feet away. They just didn't care, and there was no real fear. And the other thing was they acted like a single unit. So if birds flew across specifically and landed on the roof, usually the Vlumingi tang would be one of the sort of starting fish, but it would move, and then everyone would literally just all go together. So they almost work like like a shoal, and they would all dart for cover, and they would all sort of look around and be like, and they'd wait for Big Vlad to come out and be like, well, if he's all right, we can stand behind him. And actually, we got a shark. We later on you'll see we got a Port Jackson shark.
Someone asked if Cam was still around. Sorry, John was.
Yeah, John's still around. Yeah. I still see him in the garage. Give him kisses and cuddles and love him to bits. So yeah, John's still around. But we got this Port Jackson shark and broke our rule. We made sure we wanted to do 2 things. We wanted natural sunlight, and we wanted to create a biotope. We wanted something that represented a place in the world. Like, if you've got a 4x2x2, you want high coloured corals, and you want to pick the fish you like the most. Well, we had such vast space and ability for fish that we could restrict ourselves to one particular place and not really feel that restrictive. And it also made it much more challenging to find fish and pick fish that only, you know, I mean, obviously they weren't all endemic, but there was no fish there that you wouldn't see if you went to Bali. The only fish we broke the rule for was the Port Jackson shark. Because we couldn't bear not to buy it. We fell in love with it, and it was brilliant. He was hand tame, absolutely magic. But when we put that shark in, the entire tank, literally, all the fish got behind Big Vlad, stood behind him, and were like, "Go on then, you go and talk to it." It was hilarious. It just to see this sort of maelstrom of 100 fish all sort of bunched together, and then sort of push the biggest one to the front and be like, come on, you're the leader, you deal with this. It was fantastic, absolutely amazing. But the shark was obviously fine. There was no problems with it at all. But yeah, it was that was particularly funny to watch how they reacted to it.
Was this from TMC? Because I can't imagine John ran a selling a Port Jackson.
Yeah, no, it was TMC. We got the Port Jackson, yeah.
Wow.
When you added in the Port Jackson, did you have to either remove or change the dynamics of what corals went where due to snapping off or anything?
Absolutely not at all. She
No.
was fantastic, and she was quite journal, really. She was out quite a lot in the day, and she was very active. She was hand tame. We used to feed her, and I don't know if people know what tonic immobility is. Probably a lot of people do. When a shark goes onto its back, it goes into a torporous state where it just chills out and relaxes, and it's called tonic immobility.
That's what I do.
I'm just about to say that, Tom.
Yeah. Killer whales. Killer whales.
Gin and tonic.
Yeah. Does that.
Yeah, that's gin and tonic immobility. Yeah, even killer whales kill great white sharks in that way. They turn them onto their back. They stop. They go in a torpor state. The breathing calms down, and then they can pull them to pieces and take the liver out. But she would regularly come into my hand, let me turn her on her back, and just sit there for a minute or so, and then I'd let her go and we'd feed her or whatever. So she was hand tame, and it was magic. Absolutely lovely.
How many people can say a shark came in their hand? Seriously?
Yeah. It was a she as well, but we called her Nobby Styles. Nobby Clark, sorry. Nobby Clark the shark. Unfortunately, we'd already named her before we sexed her. So, yeah, she stuck with the name Nobby, I'm afraid.
Well, on that note, that is half time. It's time for some reefing news.
Reefing news! Reefing news! Motherfucking reefing news with Ronald McDonald! Reefing news with motherfucking Ronald McDonald!
This is getting fucking exhausting.
Here we go.
The old man's got
Rob's taking the time just to fuck right off. Nice work, Rob. I appreciate the support.
He's seen the rehearsal already, isn't he?
Right, so I'm just going to rush through this because I actually want to speak more to Cam about what's going on with him. So first bit of news this week is another 800 marine species have actually been discovered at depths of 200 meters and further off the coast of Mozambique and Tanzania. This is a guitar shark, one of many.
I could have had it ready.
But one of the most incredible things I found about this article is how long it can take for things to be accepted and named. Do you know how long it can take? Any guesses?
I thought you was going to say you was amazed how long this fish can stay in tune. That's what I thought you was going to say.
I'm going to say 5 years.
Okay. I'm going to go 10.
Yeah. I'm going to go 11.
3.
It can take up to 13 and a half years for something to be accepted and named. Is that not nuts?
That's mad.
My parents feel the same about me, though, I think, to be fair.
Yeah, but the amount of times they change the names of corals, you might as well wait that long because you'll probably get 5 different names by the time you get back to it. Stollies are hemophilias or whatever they are now. I don't know. I'm so old in the hobby, I still call them stollies.
Drippy's only got 18 months to be called Cassandra, and we're all good.
I'm going off it already, I'm honest.
Next little bit of news is over in Hawaii, they are teaching children how to frag and mount and replace corals on coral reefs. I think that's an absolutely
amazing better than story. Battle of 1066, isn't it?
That's awesome.
I just think it's just such a feel-good story, you know, in a world where everything's just kind of falling apart and turning to shit. It's just so nice to hear, you know, and these kids and these groups of people they're working together to do it. I think it's absolutely amazing. So I take my hat off to them.
Yeah, definitely.
Was Hawaii 1066? Does anyone know? Or?
No, you know what I meant. It's better than being at school is what I was making out. Sorry, you wouldn't know what that was because you didn't go. Sorry.
Well, I know that 1066 is an important year because it was the birth of our young Robert down there. Thank you.
I just said I was there. Yeah, I
remember. Rob's on the Bayer Tapestry as an archer.
As a lethal.
It's got an awful lot of
Further reefing news is this automated frozen food feeder.
yeah.
I know a few people have seen it already, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to drop it here. I think it's a great little idea. So it keeps all the food at minus 11,
$100.
Not sure
and it
about the
can
little.
hold up to 72 separate cubes of frozen food.
Mm.
70.
I like it.
Oh,
72.
Wow.
Yeah,
Do
72.
you think you could use it to put ice cubes in a drink now? Do you think you could use it in a domestic application?
Well,
you
see,
can
you would
say.
ask something like that, Tom. I mean, that
Like
sounds...
you can make ice cubes for less than $700, I tell you.
Yeah. So anyway, the food remains frozen and it can dose at your schedule. You can connect to your phone via Bluetooth and things like that. I think I do like it.
Oh,
I do like it. I've got other photos of it, but who wants to look at a bit of black plastic? We just know that that's what it does, and that's all that matters.
Well, that's half the price of a Straton.
Correct. Correct. Has anybody, just a little tangent here, does anyone remember the show Ricky Gervais wrote called Extras?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember it quite well.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, mate.
Oh, dear. That's superb.
Should have put
Anyway.
Trout on the name badge.
Yeah. So, Shaun and Cam, I assume, did you watch last week's Friday night live stream by any chance?
Myself?
Yeah, did you watch it?
No, I wasn't. I was working. I'm
Oh,
afraid.
just as well, I've got a little highlight.
It's my return pump behind me because I need to shove the nozzle down.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. Thank you. Feed me.
We won't be happy with that. Oh, that reminds me of the Virgin advert, with the walrus on the boat.
What are you doing?
Do that again. Do that again. Do that again, Tom. Just that nozzle.
No. Oh, for God.
Fuck you, he said.
Well done, Tom. You took it well.
He took it
He
well.
did take it well.
Like I had a fucking choice. It's all paid for.
Did anyone rush to grab their harpoon or not?
Huh?
Anyway, before we wrap up, before we wrap up,
You don't behave because fucking Rob's pacemaker will fucking kick in. Yo.
This was a little cheeky headline. This is a little cheeky headline I saw. Shoplifting Gran had bag of Baby Bells, a Star Bar, and 2 sausage rolls hit her minge.
Oh, God.
Now,
dear.
What staggered magistrates most when she appeared before them for petty theft was the receptacle she chose to carry her ill-gotten gains in, her baggy minge.
Seriously, though, that pastry's not going to be good, is it? It's not.
I mean, I'd give it a bash. No, I mean,
not
you all look crispy on the outside.
Anyway, that was Reefing News.
Reefing News! Reefing News! Motherfucking Reefing News! With Ronald McDonald! Reefing News with motherfucking Ronald McDonald!
Where were we?
Shove your fucking Reefing News up your ass.
Oh, Ronald. Oh, wait. I actually thought for the first time in a long time my head was going to explode then.
It's all right. Next time you stay at my house, Ryland, there'll be a shit under your pillow.
Hey, how is that me?
Anyway, moving on. Yeah, really big fucking tank. Yeah, really impressive.
Really big what?
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Wow, brilliant.
That's looking
Anyway.
good.
Sorry, yeah, back to the tank. Sorry.
Nice tips.
We're talking about. Oh, okay.
I don't know if people would be interested, but the amount of food we used, we actually fed our entire tank based on one fish. Our copper band butterfly fish, which removed all our aptasia, would only eat frozen mysis and nothing else. So we would put a kilogram. Drippy's still laughing. We would put
He's put someone got monk on. Oh, sorry, Cam, man. You fucking told me. Oh, fucking hell.
I'm so sorry, Cam. This is
This is better than I imagined.
this makes my week. It's
Friday Night Live, Cam. Sorry, this is what happens. Sorry.
Quality. I'm all about it, mate. Yeah, so we used to put a kilogram of mysis, frozen mysis slabs. I think it was 2 slabs, or about 900 grams. I think it was just under a kilo a day, as well as flake and pellet. So, but the tank we had to a day. Yeah, nearly a kilogram of mysis a day. Yeah. So we used to buy slabs. We had like a fridge freezer that's just full of mysis. We didn't even feed any other frozen food because if we did, the copper band would have starved. So we had to add huge. Obviously, you've got so many fish, 200 fish. You have to flood it with mysis to make sure that fish gets enough. So we would put flake and pellet in at the same time to try and distract the other fish. But the copper band, it was alive for the whole time. We had it about 6 years. It was absolutely perfect. There's a couple of the clams. But yeah, some of the smaller ones, they're only, I don't know, they're sort of size.
Is there any fish you added that you took out because it didn't work or not?
Yes. Originally, we had 2 Clarkie clownfish, and they were full-grown adults, and they were fucking brutal. They just kept bullying other fish, and we removed them because they were just too much. I think we put a couple of different clownfish in, some commons. I think we had some skunk clowns. We did have we made a bit of an error once. We had a Malichtheus niger, which is like a black trigger. Yeah. And we put in a very large sand sifting goby. It was like full grown. And unfortunately, we used to feed lancefish. And we had a cataphilia that was bigger than a football. And John loved feeding everything. So we used to feed it 4 lancefish a day. Literally, this cataphilia ate 4 lancefish a day. So, but this Malichtheus niger, this black trigger, mistook the sand sifting goby for a piece of fish and bit it in half to the backbone. So you had a completely removed center of this, and it was heartbreaking. And just it was attached to the backbone, but it just had no center. And that was a bit of a mistake. So after that, we never introduced fish at the surface. We always placed them further down so that they wouldn't, it wouldn't mistake it, for food.
Beautiful.
That particular trigger fish, I've got 2 more stories about it. I put a coral in the tank and it threw the coral out, and I had to get back in a wetsuit, put the coral back. It threw it out. It's particularly large coral too. Anyway. I was like, right, sod you, I'm doing it. So I placed a massive rock in the gap that it would go in, and then placed the coral on top. Well, it quickly knocked the coral back off, but it was pounding this rock, and we were laughing. saying, right, there you go, you ain't getting back in there. And we went off and done some maintenance, and an hour later, somehow, this rock was sort of this. I mean, the fish was this, you know, it was a large fish, but this rock was probably like 3 times its size, and maybe 5, 6, 10 times its weight. And how it pulled it out, I have absolutely no idea. It was insane. So we decided for its hard work that it gets to keep its sleeping point. So yeah, we just gave up on that. And the other thing it did, we came down at night to look at something, and one of our chromis was scattered out. And I watched this Meliphius niger come out at night, like obviously with the lights on in the room. And the next thing you know, it had bitten the face off of this chromis. And we saved the chromis. It had one eye was completely gone. The whole socket was completely removed. It had just an eye left with very little sort of socket, no top lip, and just this sort of open mouth. It was tragic fish. But we actually moved it across to one of our other aquariums, and it carried on living, but it had no depth perception. So when it was eating, it wouldn't be able to eat like very well. So we had to almost hand feed this little chromis for the rest of its life. But yeah, that was a story about the black trigger. But yeah, these are just some pictures of the corals.
Yeah, nice. Really nice.
So Cam,
yeah, sorry, go on.
At some point, so I have been snorkeling and I've done a little bit of scuba diving. So at some point, when you're even at depths, and listen, I only done the beginner thing, so I only went down 14 meters scuba diving, right? Rob's obviously been a lot there, but the sunlight does light up corals, right? So when you're down there, the sunlight will penetrate the water and light up corals, and you'll see colours and be. So would this do the same?
No, because depth removes red light. Yeah. So what you'll find is coral, if you dive 5 meters, it'll look pretty much like our tank, which was not even 4 feet. So you're getting the full sunlight, you're getting high levels of radiation, and the blue light was not, you know, you weren't removing the red light to reveal the blue. So as you dive deeper, you'll find that corals will reveal more coloration. If you pause there, I'll tell you about that. Corals will reveal more color at depth because the red light's removed and it becomes bluer as it goes down. That's why you won't see any, the color's just washed. It's just too shallow for any coloration to show through. That's our homemade gravel cleaner. I originally started with that one on the right, which took me, oh man, I mean, the surface area of that sand is 12. I know it's 12 by 6, and obviously that wasn't all that, but there were more than 50% of that tank was sand, because we liked to have that view across the sand bed moving into the reef.
Can you remember how much sand you put in? Sorry, Cam, can you remember how much sand went in it?
Oh, something like 30 bags. Like 30? You know, I think it was 30 bags. The I don't know what size they are. You know, the Carib Sea. It might have been 35 actually. I think it was 35 bags of sand.
So what did that then? 1 inch or 2 inches across the sand bed? What would it give you? What thickness?
Oh, it was about 3 to 4, but we picked quite a. It wasn't a large grain, but it certainly wasn't the sugar size. I can't remember the actual size of it, but it wasn't sugar, because with the amount of flow we had, it would have just blown all over the place, and we had a lot of fish that worked within the sand bed and stuff. So it was the perfect size for us. I can't remember what the size was. It certainly wasn't sugar grain. It wasn't gravel, but it wasn't tiny.
I was just asking Cam if you ever had issues keeping the outside of the roof clean.
No, it was self-cleaning glass, and it never got dirty. It was incredible.
Brilliant.
Yeah, the guy who created it, the guy who built it, put UV protection in, put the temperature raised shutters, you know, the glass shutters, and the glass. It was pretty new at the time, and it was self-cleaning glass, and I don't think we cleaned it once. It was superb. But that gravel cleaner, I had to make that. it was like I don't know if it was like a 4-inch pipe. We went out a plastic shop, got a pipe, made it, created it, and then plugged a 5,000 litre an hour pump, Eheim pump, into the back of it, primed it, and then I would just go around hoovering, and we'd just place it into the micron bags, and hoover, and that's how I hoovered the glass. But one of the stories of I mean, I don't want to bore people, but the trigger fish, we had blue throat triggers, and they spawned, and the female created a nest in the sand, and she became so aggressive that if I ever got in the tank, she would bite all my extremities, so my fingers and toes. So I had to start wearing boots and gloves because this fucking triggerfish would absolutely, it should rip me to shreds.
Is that her in that photo there, top right? It looks like when they do that spot spinning round.
That's her. Yeah, she's actually at the bottom. Yeah, she was. That might even be the male, but yeah, she would get the male to lay his milk, and then she'd chase him off, and then she would chase everything off. And there was like a 2-foot cube of everyone would just they'd go along, and then they'd just swim around this angry little bitch. But it was nice because it was another spawning event. You know, the list of spawnings we had was insane. You know, there was probably 20 to 30, about 20 different species that spawned. And all through the day you would see it. So 1 o'clock would be the cleaner wrasse, 3 o'clock would be the banana wrasse, 4 to 5 o'clock would be the white spot anamphis. Then later on, sort of 7, 8 o'clock, you'd get all the different antheas spawning, the Bellis angels, and you might see some others. You know, the mandarins would come up at sundown. Sometimes, like I say, every sort of 3 to 6 months, you'd see a pair of possum wrasse do it. The chromis was spawning on the glass all the time, and then the tangs, you know, the regal tangs would do it. They didn't do it often, but they did it, and we knew they did it because Simon Garrett went to America and saw them do it in that large aquarium. I can't remember the huge one, the huge coral tank. And he explained exactly what behaviours they did. So when ours started to do it, we realised they were spawning and got to watch them spawn, which was lovely, really nice.
I don't know if you've already spoken about what you were dosing or.
Well, dosing. Well, dosing. So, go on.
A lot.
Hello.
What's going on?
I don't know. Sorry, I thought someone said
dosing a lot.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, yeah, a lot, yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Yes, definitely. What we did was we had, you know, the calcium reactors that use 2 chambers. Well, that they were sort of just about coming in. So what we did, we took Jetstream 2, I think it was the biggest one they had. Fired loads of CO2 into that, and then put an Aquamedic 5000 as the degassing chamber.
Oh, skimmer.
No. The actual, it was something like the 5000 calcium reactor.
Oh yeah.
You remember the big one? And that was our degassing chamber. So we ran through that at quite high speeds. Then we would get like kilo pots of calcium, magnesium, and carbonates. And then every time, because I mean the tank was so stable, you could test it once a week, and if it dropped, you'd know you'd just chuck in 3 kilos of this or 4 kilos of that, and you'd keep it pretty stable. But we were going through enormous amounts of products. We used Lugol solution for iodine, and strontium. And then just, I think it was like a cheap all-in-one multi-vit kind of, you know, just, we never really went down the sort of Triton, sort of method, that sort of extreme way. Most of our calls are quite simple.
You say that about Triton, but I remember you telling me a story about the first time you discovered what contamination was.
Yeah.
You were having some problems with your corals, and
yeah,
set up an ICP when Triton first came.
No,
out.
we didn't. We did not for this tank. No, I wish I had. No, talking about contamination, the metal rim around the top of the tank started to rust. And at the time, they didn't have ICP tests. And I knew that we started to lose corals. And I sealed it up with silicone once, and it worked for a period. And then it started to happen again and leak through. And I wanted to get it tested, and there was no way of finding out. And we lost quite a lot of coral at one point. And we went through a real hard time where we lost huge quantities of plate and other coral. And then it was only when I started sealing it up with silicone that we moved forward and got over it. So, but I always wanted an ICP test because I know it would have been off the charts because of the rust that was getting into the tank. One thing Martin Lakin done, he copied he used sunlight just like us on a lesser degree, and he also had the same metal rim. But one thing he did, and I wish we had, he got it at high expense. He got it plastic sealed the way round so it didn't leak, and that solved all of his problems for him. And I wish we'd done the same thing. So yeah, you can see some of the pictures of starting to grow out. If you look at the pictures on the right, you can start seeing that coral really taking its size now. It doesn't look as big as it is, but trust me, that is absolutely enormous. The clam down to the bottom left is over 2 foot long. It was massive, like absolutely enormous. But it doesn't look very big in the picture.
When you've got a tank that big, are you conscious about adding new corals in, bringing in pests, disease, that type of thing, or was it that tuned in with the natural side of it that you just thought?
Funny enough, you say that, Dawn. We were one of the first people in the country to get Montipore eating nudibranchs, and we actually got them before we moved. We actually had the tank. We got them in the other building when we were keeping corals, and we experimented with potassium permanganate dips, which didn't do very well for the coral. They didn't like that at all. And we actually got rid of it by using dancing shrimp and not leaving corals in too long. But we couldn't do that in that aquarium because things would eat the dancing shrimp. So we flooded it with wrasses. We had acro-eating flatworm and we had Montipore eating nudibranchs, but the sheer quantity of fish in there, we had like 10 banana wrasse harring with 1 male and 9 females. We had an anhampsis wrasse harring. It's just an unbelievable number of predatory wrasses, and we never had any overwhelming numbers of anything.
Any wrasse in particular stand out for pest control that you'd absolutely go to again?
We don't know because there were so many. You never really noticed it. They were always about picking. But I think probably Haliocorus, which are like the banana wrasse types, and the anhampsis wrasse were probably the sort of best. But that's only speculation. You don't know what the other wrasses were doing. But I don't think fairy wrasses obviously are not that way inclined. They're sort of pelagic, sort of eating plankton, but them types of wrasses, and we had loads and loads of different types.
Is that why you're so skinny, Rob? Because you eat plankton?
Absolutely.
Okay. Cam, one of the questions that John asked earlier, sorry, I want to throw up.
Yeah, sorry.
What did you do for cleanup crew in this system? Good question, John.
Yeah, great question. We ordered a lot. We had like 30 sand sifting starfish, at least 30. We had one. What's the little disc?
Silver money dollar.
Yeah, a sand dollar.
Sand dollar. That's it.
We had a sand dollar, which was just incredible. And one thing I think we found, a lot of people suffer with sand sifting starfish. They don't last. They don't thrive. Our sand sifting starfish were thicker than your thumb, and they didn't go in like that. They grew, they thrived, they were absolutely buzzing. But the quantity of fish waste going into that sand was extensive. And I thoroughly believe that the difference between our tank and many others was the grain size, for one, suited them, because when you've got very, very fine sands, it's quite difficult for fish waste. It grinds up. It isn't there as a sort of small solid, you know, as particles. Whereas our sand grain size was good, so they would be able to eat from it. And our fish were fed so well. John was obsessed with feeding, so everything was always obese and overfed. So they would poo a lot, and their poo was probably quite nourishing in that they weren't frugally fed and processing food. They were probably pooing quite quickly and shedding a lot of nutrient with the waste. So them sand sifting starfish thrived, and so did the sand dollar. We had something like 4 boxes of like full shipping boxes of various snails, and we'd top them up sort of a box a year maybe, but they generally did very well, and they spawned as well. The snails were always spawning. So we had like Mexicans, we had we didn't have turbo snails. They don't occur in Bali. So we had the turban snails.
Yeah, turban snails.
Yeah, we had turban snails, and we had like not the Mexican, but we had like, they were like knobbly kind of large turbo types, but they weren't.
Urchins, Cam?
You are?
Any urchins?
No, none. Absolutely none. We just didn't. They were just they're too irritating, and because when corals get moved, I've got to get a wetsuit, get on the ladder, get in. John had to be there because in case I banged my head or I passed out, we would never have me in there on my own. So we had to make sure we had time to do it together. Oh, that's a great picture. That was that was mental. But yeah.
Sorry, Cam. Some people are just jumping in here trying to steal your thunder. All right, Keith. Yeah, we know you're a big deal. April the 15th premiere. Don't know what's happening on April 15th, but you need to get back in touch with us when you're going to come on for round 2. When are you coming back on? Come on, Keith.
It's me.
No.
Sorry. Sorry.
Hello.
Sorry, I'm looking at the telly. It's got delayed.
No, you're fine. So, how big was this we're looking at, Cam?
That was that. I mean, I don't know that if that was at its zenith, but that's probably 3 feet wide at that point. Yeah. Wow. And what was funny, the chromis loved it, but our pair of and they spawned as well, but our pair of long-nosed hawkfish owned it, apart from the regal tang, which they just couldn't shift. But no other fish, because we knew what they wanted to do. The chromis wanted to go in it naturally, swimming in and out. Them 2 fish would never let them anywhere near it. They'd try and then they'd get kicked out. So that the 2 long-nosed hawks almost lived in that coral exclusively, which is mad when you think, you know, you've got a tank where your fish don't even swim around. They don't really need to leave a single coral, which was brilliant.
Did you ever see any weird behaviours that you weren't expecting? Like, I mean, I've had regal tangs that have got like lived inside a hystrix from tiny, and the coral like grows round it.
Did you go back a picture? Yeah. That was beautiful.
That's the one.
Yeah. The first one as we go, but this one here, you can sort of see one of the things we could do is because of the sunlight, we could actually keep LPS. Sorry, not that one. The next one along the one you were just on. We could keep LPS in shade from the acros, and they would stop them dying, because if LPS are exposed to that kind of sunlight, they do just wither. And when you've got large pieces of open acro, you can use them as a shield to calm the light down. And obviously, as sunlight moves, it shifts across the coral. So that LPS gets shade in various spaces. So we could keep things underneath other corals and utilise space where you couldn't with lights. And LEDs are just terrible for that sort of single plain down non-motile light, and we could do things with coral. We had corals upside down and like underneath coral, like underneath acros, that you would never be able to do in an LED lit tank, and it was brilliant, you know. So we actually utilised Acropora to be able to keep some LPS.
Thank God you took these photos, mate, because they're.
I know. I said that earlier. Can you imagine trying to tell this story in an LFS? Well, I had a fish tank that was bigger than yours.
Yeah,
I know people that still try. Trust me.
God.
Actually, that the red bubble tip looks slightly red in that picture. I'm quite surprised.
It's a beautiful Aptasia,
Isn't it? They were mental. They used to split all the time.
Did you have any issues with pests at all?
Yeah, like we said, we not really. We had acro-eating flatworms. If you look at that in the centre of the picture, there's a slightly pinkish Acropora and a slightly yellowish one to the right of the screen. The larger ones, they both had acro-eating flatworms, and they never ever succumbed to it. It was the wrasses and the various. We had so many different species that, you know, most things. The Aptasias were eaten by the copper band. The flatworm and the Montipora eating nudibranchs were just mopped up by the wrasses. So, and the more modern issues we're having, red bugs, black bugs,
those weird things,
those horrible weird things that pretty much put me out of the hobby. Yeah, they weren't occurring yet. But my theory, and at the time, and I still think it's true, is when we went from having corals straight off the reef and placed them in lagoons which was great because we could grow them and then mariculture them and bring them on and do less damage to the reef. You then drag them corals away from natural butterfly predation, more, you know, if their natural environment's a reef front and you stick them in a lagoon, they might not have the predatory fish to cope. And then all of a sudden, we never had, even red bugs or black bugs knew what they were. And then all of a sudden, these things have started to come in as mariculture grew. So I thoroughly believe that mariculture has brought real great things, but it's also brought an enormous abundance of pests.
Yeah.
I don't know how good that theory is, but that's
it's pretty accurate, to be honest.
Yeah.
You got to ask yourself, while COVID was going on, who was out there tending these reefs, you know, removing out. I mean, obviously, I think they just marinated.
Sorry, can you pause that there? Sorry. Yeah, they are. We're just marinating there. Yeah, absolutely.
Is that heliofungia?
That's, I wanted to pause it because Shaun loves this coral. In the bottom right, that is like a dinner plate sized heliofungia. And that used to eat like John. I used to have to try and stop him because I don't think it's healthy to feed it like a whole lancefish every day. So I managed to drag him down to like a third of a lancefish a day because I didn't want it rotting inside the coral. But that heliofungia used to eat like an absolute maniac, and it was beautiful. Even in sunlight, it was so green that, you know, you still held colour. But yeah, Shaun loves that coral.
It's iconic.
Yeah, it's a brilliant coral. There's probably more pictures of it, but yeah, it's a cracker.
Cam, what happened to these corals when the tank got shut down?
You've just took the words out of my mouth. I'm going to ask you the same question.
Yeah.
Well, I was so heartbroken I couldn't deal with it, the shutdown. And John dealt with it, and they went to Tropical Paradise and various different people and other tanks. Martin Lakin had some of our corals from frags and bits and bobs, especially that blue tip acro, which I'm very proud that he still got.
That's a nice
so yeah, they just went all over the place. You know, they did. They just, you know, some were fragged, but mostly they were sold to other people's larger tanks, and yeah.
And also the fish, because the fish would have been a bloody miles too big for 99% of reefers' tanks, wouldn't they?
Yeah, we did. We managed to find people with larger tanks. The Flamingi Tang went to the Sea Life Centre in Portsmouth because he was huge, and so did the shark. But most of the other fish were large but not ridiculous. They were the two monstrous fish, you know. I mean, the flamingo tang was at least 2 foot.
Cam, do you remember Mo from Leicester? Do you remember Mo?
Mo, I do remember Mo very well. I remember Mo absolutely, and he's got a fantastic tank, or he had a fantastic tank. I think he's got another one now.
Shit, really?
Yes, yes, I do, Mo. Remember you very well, mate. Yeah, and he came down before he built his own, and came and have a look, and then built his own monstrous tank, which is great.
That nano tank that he built. From looking at that,
Yeah. I don't think it was that much smaller. I don't think it was probably similar size. Sorry, Norfolk Reefer. The tank got shut down because I had a family and I had my firstborn son who still wishes I had the tank because he wishes I'd kept it. Obviously. Yeah, come and say hello, bro.
Come on.
Come and say hello.
is he a reefer, Cam?
He wants to be. I've not got the money at the moment. It's too expensive. Do you know what? I had fish tanks forever. And because he grew up with them, he wasn't really bothered. And then the moment I got rid of it, he suddenly decided that now he's a marine fish sort of enthusiast and he's desperate for a tank.
Come on, Mini, come in here. Come on, Mini.
Over. Yeah, that's it. Come on over.
Mini.
Yeah. He's got a little paludarium and stuff. He's got a little paludarium now with lizards and fish, but it's nothing like a marine tank. But one day I've got plans for him. I've got a few other things. They want to go to the Red Sea. They want to go diving. He wants to learn how to dive and stuff. So we're going to do some of that first, and then we're going to settle down and get a nice marine fish tank. His favourite fish is a soapball tang.
Or you could not do that, and we could build a marine pond.
Yeah, me and Shaun have got an idea that we want to build a marine pond.
Can I go now?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Get out of it.
Girlfriend, come on.
Yeah, pond would be nice.
Yeah, Shaun and I want a viewing window.
They are your kids, Cam. They're not just gone next door, have they?
No, they haven't just wandered in. They are my kids. Yeah, they're good boys.
You know the funny thing is, now you're showing us this tank, what you've done. You can't be building a 2x2 pond with Shaun. I mean, it's got to outdo this, isn't it?
Well, it is. That's why I wanted to go down the pond route so that I could afford to get something a little larger, and perhaps just try and increase. Maybe 6 foot tall, use concrete, and then one viewing plane.
Because Shaun's loaded, so Shaun will have the money for it. Shaun's loaded.
He's minted.
Hey, I'm not loaded.
Now I'm not with my missus. I've got the money, but there's priorities. You want
your teeth doing? You said.
Yeah. Oh, that's first. Teeth getting done. Getting a turkey. Sort them out. Get them all shiny. I want a set of Rylands. You know what I mean? Proper buck teeth. We make it obvious. You know what I mean?
Not me, by the way. That's not me. Just for the
yeah,
it is.
Yeah. I'm going to get them oversized so everyone knows where I've been.
Look like tombstone.
Yeah.
No, look like this. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
One of the questions we had a second ago for you was... the reef network, amazing tank, but we have to remember how much we love our tanks, whether the size, how amazing. Yeah, get that. Reef pond, yes. How big would the pond be?
I'd want to go 12 by 12 by 6, roughly.
Bit small, isn't it?
It is a bit small, but you've got to have some limitations. I would go sunlight again. I'd go soft coral.
Are we talking?
I wouldn't go.
It's not worth it.
We're talking meters.
Meters.
No, I'm not. There is a limitation, as you know.
Miles.
Come on. Come on.
No, my dream would be a 12 by 12 by 6.
To clear the fucking weir out.
Yeah.
Listen, we're all waiting. We can't wait to see Shaun in a pair of Speedos in there, mate. Fucking doing a rock.
You don't want to see me in Speedos.
We were talking about what's it earlier, weren't we?
It looked like the world's biggest nudie brank in there.
Burger Shaun.
Yeah, Burger and Shaun. Yeah.
I literally didn't hear any of that.
No, I didn't. But the thing is, if I get that pond, I'm gonna have to find myself another dusky young maiden to just get in it and shaft the side. You know what I mean?
That's what Shaun's for.
Oh, look at that picture there. That's nice.
Yeah. That's not a great picture, but that's a shark just swimming through.
Is that the clam there? Fucking size of that.
That's the clam, yeah, 2 foot, at least 2 foot.
Sure, you
Oh, there's me getting in the tank. That's the only, I think there's 1 or 2 pictures of me actually in the tank. But I used to step on the ladder and then step it onto that plastic ladder inside because I was just too deep otherwise.
That'd be funny trying to see Tom cock his leg over there, wouldn't it? God.
You'd be around there, you'd be logging your dives, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly, boy. I'll do my open water in there, Rob.
How interested this guy is. He's going to end up with a YouTube channel. Isn't he?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's what they're like.
I think that's your lot, actually.
Is it?
That's the
fair enough.
winter shot with a.
That's Tom's way of saying he's bored now.
He's bored. It's enough's enough. It's over.
That's
Fuck off,
that's
innit?
83 slides. I'll have you know.
I'll tell you, did you the YouTube video is pretty good because that was, I think it's John and Cam's, I can't remember what it's called, Missing Reefing.
What's it called?
It's on my phone. Can I get on my phone?
I could probably get it, mate.
Yes, no, there's a few of them. Yeah, if you go on YouTube.
You sent it to me, didn't you?
Did I? There's one particular, there's 3 videos which are all lovely, but they're in various stages of its development. And the last one was my sister-in-law at the time, and she.
There you go. Which one do you want? This is you.
It is the top one, I believe. Yeah,
This
that's
one?
it. Yeah. This is the tank at its best, probably. This is, and you really will get a view of everything. You'll see the it's larger than a football. The cataphilia, and yeah, you get a real good idea of size and scale. You'll see my brother-in-law, and he's over 6 foot, so you can sort of see where the tank is there. You know, it's quite a.
Is that your brother-in-law, Muhammad Ali?
No, that was my brother-in-law, the white one. Oh, I'll tell you what, the most impressive fish for everybody, there was 2. One was the vampire tang, for some reason. Everyone loved it. They all said it looked like it was in HD. But the one that really garnered the most attention was the sweet lips.
I was going to say the sweet lips. Yeah.
Oh, it was fantastic. It is such an amount. There's the black trigger you just saw. You can't quite see the thickness of that sand sifting starfish, but it is ridiculous. Yeah, it when it zooms out, you can't quite see the sizes of these fish. But
on that clam.
What's that?
Fucking flat on that clam.
Oh no, it's mental. There's the cataphilia. If you just to the left. Oh,
Hang on. I'm trying.
It's all right. It'll get there. There it is. There. See on that left there. And there's a more eel underneath it. But that cataphilia on the left was, I can't even tell you. It is just massive. And like I say, John used to feed it 3 or 4 lancefish a day, and it would eat them no problem.
Wow.
The skeleton was like fully convoluted, fully like a natural ball. It was quite incredible. That quite an incredible coral. That one of my favourites for sure. There's the that's the. Now you can sort of see.
Yeah, it's bloody wonderful, mate.
It was magic. Like I say, even people who didn't even like fish tanks came, and they were just mesmerised. You know, it was.
How long in total was the tank running?
4 years, I think, around 4.5 years. Oh, you can see the copper band in the middle.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, it was. I mean, you can see like the movement, it was just all going on. You know, it was, and we knew what fish we had. We named nearly all of them. But when people came, they would always see something new.
Yeah.
Because there's so many species. I think we had well over 200 fish, and I don't know how many species. It must have been 40 or 50 different species. I can't remember exactly, but it was. I think no, it'd been more than that because I think we had 20 different species of tang. It was insane. It was.
The problem, one of the problems with that is I would never ever want to go to work.
Mate, I worked for John actually. He ran garages at the time. I wasn't in the industry I'm in now. And when I worked for him, I'd never work because he was like, "Come on, Cam, we got work to do up the tank."
What a legend!
So I just get paid to piss around, which was great. But yeah, so that was really, really good. Good times. Oh, that was our. If you look at the back, that was we had a Euphilia garden well before most people had it, and it was probably 3-4 feet long and at least 2 foot, 3 foot tall, and there was just loads. We just mixed everything. No colours, no special names, just Euphilia, just to create a
They even
natural.
have the special names back then.
No, they didn't. It was the best time. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but that Euphilia garden was pretty impressive. It was nice because it created a natural kind of look where you see large stands of Euphilia in the wild. It sort of had that sort of feel to it.
So would you say in the UK this was one of the largest tanks?
It was the largest hard sort of SPS hardcore tank in the UK at the time that I know of. The system probably, I don't know because I sort of come away from the hobby a little bit. I sort of didn't.
I missed that.
I asked him if that still stands today, whether that's the largest UK reef hobbyist aquarium.
What's his indoor pond's got 15,000 litre tank, hasn't he?
All right, way to absolutely destroy Cam. Nice one, Rob.
No, it's all good. No, it doesn't matter, mate. There's no dick competitions here. It's just fun, It's just we didn't care if it was the biggest or it wasn't. It was you do what you can. You can have the best time in your life with a nano tank.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter in this hobby. You can get. Someone can get as much enjoyment out of anything. It's what you put into it and what you want from it. Not, it's no dick swinging. It was just fun.
I do think Rob was being a bit of an arse, if I'm honest. But
It's my default position, so that's fish.
Your opinion, an arsehole. Do you have a fish?
Oh, mate. You actually saw there that one of the Clarky clowns at that point where this was early doors. But yeah, they were the.
It's not a tan Tom.
Yeah.
That's Tom in the Caribbean if you come back from the Caribbean.
Yeah.
His face, look.
He's raging.
Very nice.
Tom, it's just junkies, Tom. It's just junkies.
Might be time for a different type of video soon. We'll see.
Thanks for coming on, Shaun and Cam.
That's all right, mate.
Yeah, that's stunning. Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
This video was actually taken under the lights. So this was the others were daylight, and this was under the halides.
Yeah.
And you think only 400 watt metal halides created quite a bit of light. We had the arc dome sort of reflectors that people used to use back then. And that was a fairly well lit tank for 400 watt halides.
Is John still in the hobby?
No, we both left at the same time. Then I got my own tanks with my family, smaller stuff. But no, he's not in the hobby anymore. No, it's even myself. There was only one way, and it was down. So you don't really want to go down. You've hit your dream, and we had to shut it down. Which it still breaks my heart. I miss it massively. Yeah. And I miss John, just munging about and being idiots and having a laugh and enjoying it daily. I was there all the time. My wife was only my girlfriend at the time, and she just got pushed to the side while I enjoyed myself.
Yeah,
You know.
Good.
What
What's that room in his house now, Cam?
I think he turned it into a pool room. He cut the beams out and stuck a pool table in there, and it's and seats and stuff.
Can you even walk in there now?
I haven't seen it since he shut down. I see him, but I've never been back. I couldn't. It broke my heart.
Yeah,
it literally broke my heart. Yeah, it was right up there with one of the saddest things. It was a bit
thing to accomplish, mate. Do you know what I mean? You've done it.
Oh, mate, the memories are just unbelievable. And because I did it with someone who I feel so special and had such a good time with, like I've said, I wouldn't. The best part of that tank was my friendship with him. Yeah. It wasn't the tank. The tank was amazing, but it brought two people who have a laugh, are close mates, love each other, and we got to share a dream system, a dream tank, and it was just magical. I'll never do anything the same. I mean, if I do one with my boy, if I do a pond, and I get to do it with my boy when he's a little bit older, maybe that will be as good, and we'll go mung him around the shops and maybe get a GMC account and do our own thing, and maybe that will top it. But it was just such a special time.
Yeah.
When we're all kids and we grow up with this kind of thing and we're obsessed, and I know we're all joking and having a laugh, but this hobby is one of the most consuming and amazing things. When I worked in the hobby, I would say to people, give it weeks, you will be an addict. There is nothing more amazing, because in no environment on Earth, in fact, David Attenborough's favourite place are coral reefs, because if you go to a forest or you go to a rainforest, you have to hunt for animals. You search for them. It takes hours. You don't see them. A coral reef is alive with life. You can't move for fish, invertebrates. The biodiversity is insane, and it's all on display. And on top of that, you have to search for some of the special stuff as well. So there, you can have a 2-foot cube with thousands of animals in it, from all your cleanup crew, your crustaceans, your amphipods, and I've when I've set tanks up, I've just sat watching amphipods walk about, mating and doing, and you can just get absolutely absorbed by the smallest thing in a marine system. And so where we all sort of get involved with that, and we all just, fall in love with it. Me and John got to do something that you just normally never get to do. So it was just really special.
Absolutely, mate. Take my hat off to you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Absolutely beautiful.
Everyone's thinking about upgrading now.
Wow.
I don't think I'll go down to me 5-foot tank and have a look at it tonight before I go to bed, if I'm honest. I think I'll leave it till tomorrow.
Yeah,
I mean,
stunning.
Thanks for sharing.
That's all right. No problem at all.
Yeah, amazing.
No problem at all.
Do you think you're going to get have you not had an itch to get a nano or a tank in the house that you're in now? Have you not got
I did. I had a 5x2 by 2, the old Red Sea Reefer, and I used to, Shaun was at the shop he worked in, and to get my corals from that, and it was impressive, wasn't it? I grew some really, it was a lovely looking tank.
So I've been on my photos, so you can.
I can't even remember. I haven't even got any photos of it. But we give something a try as well. Shaun accidentally, I had a cube on the end of it, like a 2-foot cube attached, and Shaun accidentally got some acropora eating butterflies, and I'm a massive fan of.
I rescued them. I didn't.
Yeah, he rescued them. He did rescue them. Yeah, he didn't buy them. And I said I would give them a go, and I threw them in the tank to see what would happen. Well, they do eat acros. They definitely eat acropora. So there was bite marks everywhere. So what I did was I moved them into the 2-foot cube, And I had that blue tip acro and similar fast growing acros. So I just snapped a load off and placed it in and fed them like that, and they were absolutely fine. Unfortunately, I got a white spot outbreak from a powder blue tang. Surprise, surprise. And they died of it, even with UV sterilisation. But I think if you've got my corals, even in a 5x2x2, were big, large pieces. You know, I had huge, great pieces of coral. I like size in corals. I don't like lots of little frags. It drives me absolutely insane. I find it ugly. I prefer form over colour myself.
Tom, I've sent you a couple of photos of its kind of progression.
Come on, Tom. Sitting there relaxing on a Friday night. How dare you?
Checks out.
Come on.
It's a work. Wait.
While we're waiting for that to be uploaded,
Let's have another glimpse.
will we just? I mean, a few people have asked Tom in the chat. So
By popular demand. We don't want to do it, Tom.
It's my return pump behind me because I need to shove the nozzle down.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. Thank you.
Me.
Oh, you won't be happy with that. Oh, I think brilliant.
Oh dear.
All
Poor
right,
Tom.
Tom, come back, Tom.
He just gets a battering every week. Oh,
Constant,
that's bad.
100% battering.
Oh,
Mate,
bless
that's what it's all about. It's only love, though, isn't it? Bit of
Really
banter.
I think, as we're on the live stream, I mean, I don't know if anyone's seen the one-arm reefer, or we know him as the Bandits Instagram lately, but he's on the bike. He's trying to do a bit of exercise. He's trying to lose a bit of terry. Good luck to him, right? Wonder if him and Tom should have a little weekly diary, maybe, and have a little tub off.
A competition between them.
They could run.
Yeah.
They could run down to AAC on a Sunday morning.
Yes.
Now
Yeah.
that would be a video I would love to see.
Yeah.
Yep. Could do it for charity.
Charity, yeah, a charity. Lose the bitties.
The Reefing
Charity.
news. The Reefing news next week.
Seeing as Tom's done a runner, I'll just show you on my phone what Cam's last tank looked like.
I mean, I can guarantee you won't run in.
You could
How do
send
I-
them to me, Sean, and I could fling them up. But it's,
I'll put them in the group. Shall I put them in the group or
Yeah.
not? All right.
Lovely.
Tom.
he's maybe away for a single fish.
Is he going to come back in a mankini?
I hope not.
Oh, he is.
He's just going to burst in.
Oh, mate.
Here he is. Hey, Tom.
Go, quick job.
We all missed you.
Aye.
He's nice. I wonder if he's going to give us. Is he going to give us a close up on the tank behind him, or?
It's
No,
the
it's called-
headset. The headset's dying.
Is it?
Yeah.
Tom's a
There you go,
twat.
Ron. You should have those photos now.
There you. So, am I going to be Mr. February or am I Mr. March on the Reefers Network calendar next year?
We've got to kick it off with you to start, John. Your January all over.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right, so what the fuck am I meant to do with these pictures?
Sorry, I'm just going to bring them up, Tom.
Show them.
Yeah, well,
Are we going to get an update on the tank behind you, boy?
no, because the light's off. There you go.
Put the
Done.
fucking light on then.
Yeah. Hey, Tommy, July. Oh, thanks, Mo. You can be my August.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
Oh, very nice.
That is nice. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Other than a fish tank, what is this we're looking at?
Well, basically, the tank on the right was the cube that I used for the butterflies.
Right. Yeah.
I literally set up specifically for those butterflies. You can't see it, but there was like some lovely tables in there.
Was that
Red
before or
Planet.
after the big stag? That was after.
That was after, yeah. So this was a sort of like one of the latest pictures before I shut it down. I shut it down because the electric cost was getting just bang out of hand. When everything started going ridiculous, I just had enough of it. You know, I love the hobby, but I like other things. This was the tank before I adjusted it. So you know, I like large corals. You know, I much prefer huge corals and you know than that sort of. I'm not a stamp collector.
Yeah, that looks.
Cam,
like a proper reef tank.
you've been in the hobby a while. Ever had an F-flow, table in F-flow?
There is one in there right now. F-flows are my absolute favourite coral.
Yes, mate.
Who's typing that? Who is doing that?
Please hit like and subscribe, or you can go and give your dad a pokey bum wank. That's class. F-flows. F-flows are my
centre. Is that it in there to the left of the centre?
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Dawn sold that to me, and it was pretty small. It was like what was it?
It's a little mariculture.
Yeah, a little mariculture that actually grew almost dinner plate. When you took it, it was about dinner plate size.
Yeah, I've got a photo of that as well.
Have you?
It was like that.
Yeah,
Send it to Ron.
Did it have the purple highlights around the edges?
Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
That is my number one coral. Absolute and utter. I love it. I absolutely love F-flows. But when you're looking at coral reefs, when you first look at coral reefs, the thing that sparks up my mind is those fungal shaped tables.
Yeah.
You know, that the big plates that sweep across the reef.
Yeah.
You know, you can see it there. It's not great coloration, but in the picture, but you can see it's quite a decent size, quite coming out. But I've always felt that they represent the reef for me. You know, seeing that sort of tiered fungal plate growth just sparks something in me. So F-flows are without doubt my absolute favourite.
Look at it. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Oh, it's lovely.
Around the outside there, can't you?
Yeah. And like
mine get. I mean, if they get that big, I'll be laughing. But I'm hoping mine take off, mate, because I genuinely love that coral.
Oh, it's wicked. Absolutely. If you go back one thing I did with Shaun as well, we wanted to. I wanted to diversify a little bit, so we tried with the sun coral, and some people often, if you look on the right hand side on the sort of, top right, people often put them in the dark because obviously they do live in the dark. But in the Red Sea, you find them in more sunlight. But the reason why they go into the dark is because they can't outcompete hermatypic corals. You know, most light loving photosynthetic corals. But in some areas of the Red Sea, they tend to survive in that light. So as long as, I mean, you can't see it, it looks like it's brightly lit, but it's actually fairly shaded under the purple stylo. And that stylo grew bigger as well after that, which helped to shade it. But when you put them in the dark, it's not easy to feed them. And they're basically fish. You've got to feed them every single day. Some people will say that you need to feed them every polyp. I do not agree with that. I think they're able to translocate food across a colony. If I touch one side of a coral, it closes the whole coral up. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to translocate, nutrients across. However, they will atrophy some polyps if they're not effective, but they'll do that for preservation rather than actually dying. So what I used to do is every night when it came out, me and Shaun devised a sort of way. We said, right, well, I'll place it under there. We'll keep it in somewhere easy to feed. and it thrived. It absolutely thrived. It grew as well. So that was a real nice thing to have in a brightly lit sort of SPS tank.
I was a banger. That was a calcium reactor job on that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I used a calcium reactor on it, skimmer, bit of an algae reactor as well. I used ICP, didn't I? We did ICPs with it.
That was a Triton run tank.
Yeah, it was a Triton run tank. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, it was cracking. Really enjoyed it. I've never been a sort of named coral kind of guy. I've never chased the sort of zeitgeist, the sort of the main thing that what everyone's looking for. You know, I love the hobby. I love the animals. I love the corals, and Shaun will tell you, I became a little bit disillusioned where people would chase a name or a price or, you know, have something to show off about, and it's just, that's not what it's about for me. It's just the love of the animals, the experience of having them, and being a custodian of just an incredible biodiverse environment, you know. So I never really chased the mega stuff and sort of named corals, but I've got to say the hobby is just the best thing in the world.
I am also going to say that Cam's phone's going to run out of battery any second.
Just as well, because we're about to wrap it up. We're a little
okay. We are a little bit over.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Shaun, you want to see if Cam can get him at Love to Reef, mate?
Yeah.
If possible.
Don't know if there'll be any. Will there be any spare tickets?
I'm sure.
I think there's still some available.
Yeah.
Tricky to have a go. Could be able to get
Come and meet us.
Sorry?
I said, if he wants to come and get back involved, come and meet us all. And there's plenty of reef meat coming up on that. It'd be great.
Definitely. Good. Definitely.
We'll see what spare time he has.
Yeah, I'm sorting out getting a house, and I've got lots going on. Yeah, getting rid of the wife and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going through a fair bit of hard work. Yeah, I mean it's all good because the marine tank's coming in her place, so it'll be fine.
Hurry up and get rid of her and get the pond kicking on, yeah?
Is that a sound mic the kid's got?
But I've got a lot going on. I'm flying all over the world. I'm going to Amsterdam next month, then I'm going to Turkey, then I'm going to Red Sea. I've got Turkey twice this year. Yeah, I'm going out and enjoying myself for a little bit. So yeah, I'm pretty busy, but I do want to get back into the hobby. It's the best thing I've ever done. It's just an incredible hobby.
We need to wrap this up.
Yeah.
These kids are getting out of hand.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, Shaun, Cam, thank you ever so much. We'll see you all soon. Take care, guys.
See you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Right then.
Wow.
Okay.
What a tank.
Well, what a tank.
That was
What an evening. I loved it.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it, Tom.
You've had an easy night, Tom.
It's been a banger, hasn't it? It's been a banger.
Yeah.
Oh, my 10 bellies have laughed, Ron and Rob.
Thank you so much to everybody for joining in.
Before we wrap up, are we going to, now Tom's back on, Thomas, the bandit on his Instagram lately is making he's pushing for exercise and feel good and health.
Yeah, whatever. Right, so on Sunday, we're going to be back with myself, Drippy, if he decides to come on, Rodders and Josh are going to be talking to Jamie. Jamie's going to be joining with us. Jamie from Reef and Teeth. So yeah, tune in on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock to join me, Drippy. Like I say, if he comes on, Ian, Steve's going to be joining us, Josh and myself. So that should be good. One worth tuning in for. And next Wednesday, Steve's going to be talking to Matthew from ITC. So that should be a good shout as well.
I love Steve's streams. Love them.
So that should be very good for next Wednesday. Our guest next Friday, we've just got to double confirm before it's announced, but it is an A-lister. So watch this space. I'll let him back in if he's going to apologise. He probably won't. You won't apologise. No, he
Come on,
probably won't.
Bandit or what? You tubby little toss up.
There you go. Right, anyway, thank you ever so much for those of you that have tuned in and put up with the, well, I should have said you've laughed at my expense, other than that amazing build. But enjoy your weekend, and we will see you all Sunday. Ron, is there a Reefy AF or is there a Discord?
Yes,
Yes?
there's a
Think how many
salty
people-
banter on Sunday at 3.
Okay.
Think
Cool.
how many people you might.
Yeah, he's still annoying me. Right, okay. Right. The joys of being admin. There aren't many, but the joys of being admin. Right, have a good weekend, everybody. Take care. We'll see you all
Good night,
soon.
guys.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.